Hello everyone, I'm Mark, and this is Several Books. Today I'm going to try to do just an individual book review, and the individual book that we're talking about, this is the French copy, is Vivre, vite by Brigitte Giraud. Giraud. I did check into this and found out that there was an English copy available. So when I had heard of this through searching online for pre-Goncourt winners, this was a book that I hadn't read yet, and I thought it would be pretty interesting. Essentially, the book is about a woman, and about 20 years before the time of the book, her husband died in a car accident. And I don't have a huge amount to say about this. The individual form book review is a little difficult for me. And I read the book probably about a month ago. But I really wanted to talk about this. The reason why I really wanted to talk about this was because the way the book is structured is unique, and it's something totally different than anything I had ever seen. This book in English might be considered a memoir. It's a piece of autofiction. I would say that based on the formatting of the book, it probably makes a little more sense for it to be a memoir. It would be a little quirky. But essentially what Giraud is looking at is that her husband died, and clearly it was this massive issue for her and completely ruined her life for a period. But I don't know if anybody's ever made any mistakes. And when you make a mistake and something bad happens, or even if you didn't make a mistake, but just something bad in general happened, you might go through and replay all of the things that led up to that moment in your life. So what she essentially does is question this situation that happened with her husband from looks like probably about 20 some different 23 or so different questions about her life and things that could have happened differently, and maybe changed the outcome of what had happened. For instance, if something had delayed her husband leaving the new house they bought by just a few minutes, there could have been a completely different outcome, and he wouldn't have died in the car accident. So, for instance, she's wondering what had happened if she had parked the car in a different location. And she writes this very playful essay about, if he had parked the car in a different location, then this whole thing might have been different. If we had listened to a different song in the morning and the song had been 30 seconds longer, he might have missed the thing that precipitated the accident, and he would still be around. And so she examines it from 23 different places. And what it reminds me of is that true sadness is something that people generally don't see others go through. I don't want to say it never happens, but oftentimes when we're sad, we bottle things up. And these essays are so playful and in a way almost hysteric, sort of like she's feeling uncontrollable emotions, and the mess of these emotions is bubbling up in her. And what we're getting is these really playful essays. So, for instance, I just flipped through the book and si j'avais eu un téléphone portable. So, if she had had a cell phone, it would have been totally different, and her husband would have lived. And this is why it would have been totally different. If she had called her husband at a different time, if her brother had not had a problem with his garage, the accident wouldn't have happened. And what could have caused the garage issue to be better? And in the end of the book, we're left reviewing all of these different accidents and these different little happenstances that ultimately cause something absolutely devastating for this woman. And I'm not terribly worried about spoilers for this book, because the reality is that you can't really spoil it. The reality is the spoil. You know, going into the book, after the first 20 odd pages or so, that her husband had died. 20 years later, the author is still asking herself, you know, what would have happened if her brother had not taken suddenly a week of vacation? What could have happened? How would this have changed their lives differently? And maybe her husband would still be around. And it's just amazing because the essays are so playful. So Vivre, vite, or Live Fast is available in English language. This is my first attempt at offering anything in the way of a single book review on this channel or on YouTube in general. And the book is, for me, a bit of a 4 weeks ago read, but I'm still thinking about the book. So I had to share it. This is probably not the best or most exciting video, but it's certainly a much shorter video, and I hope that people are curious, because I have mentioned that I'm going to be sharing things about French literature. So this won a Goncourt 2 years ago. I believe the last year was Daud's Ori, and that was a great book also, but I'm not really reviewing that right now. So if you're interested in upcoming Goncourt prize winners, a lot of these books are eventually guaranteed to be published in English. I can probably provide some insight onto what's going to be good or what it's about. But Vivre, vite was a phenomenal short read. It's only about 200 some pages, and the format of it will leave you feeling like you've just read a book by some master who was in Aleppo, like Georges Perec or Raymond Queneau, or probably Italo Calvino, somebody like that. Alright guys, short video. Just wanted to make a video so that I had done one for the weekend, and hopefully I'll get a view or two, or people will find this interesting. Thanks. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.